Step into a world where history and true crime collide. We explore the stories, the people, the locations, and the research behind some of the most fascinating moments from the past. Using the latest AI-generated imagery and video, we bring these tales back to life, giving them a bold, modern twist you won't find anywhere else. If you love history with a fresh edge, hit that subscribe button and join us on this incredible journey through time. Along the rugged coastline of South Ayrshire, near the small village of Ballantrae, lies a stretch of jagged rock and sea-soaked cliffs. It's a place where the wind howls like a warning and the sea hides its secrets beneath the tides. Among the shadows of these cliffs, deep within a coastal cave, legend tells of a family of cannibals, led by a man whose name still inspires horror, Alexander Sawney Bean. He is said to have butchered and eaten hundreds of travelers, raising a clan of inbred murderers who lived hidden from the world for over 2 decades. But was he a real man, or just a monstrous myth, crafted to warn against the dangers of the untamed wild? This is the dark tale of Sawney Bean, a legend steeped in murder, myth, and the foggy edges of Scottish history. Sawney Bean, according to most versions of the tale, was born in East Lothian sometime in the late 1500s. His father was a ditcher and hedger, a laborer by trade, and young Alexander was expected to follow in his footsteps. But Sawney was no fan of hard work or honest living. He quickly developed a reputation for laziness, dishonesty, and a general contempt for authority. At some point in his youth, he fell in with a woman named Agnes Douglas, known locally as Black Agnes. Her nickname wasn't just a reflection of her dark features. She was widely believed to be a witch, feared by locals, and said to be involved in dark rituals and devilish practices. Together, Alexander and Agnes fled from East Lothian, possibly to escape local justice, or perhaps to find a life more suited to their grim appetites. They settled in a sea cave near Benane Head, a cavern over 200 meters deep, whose entrance was hidden from sight at high tide. It was the perfect hiding place. For 25 years, it would serve as both home and abattoir to a growing family and a bloody legacy. Inside the cold darkness of that cave, Sawney and Agnes began their twisted life together. Children came quickly, 8 sons and 6 daughters. And as they grew older, the family turned to the one trade that could sustain them: murder. The Beans began ambushing travelers on the remote roads between Ballantrae and Girvan. They would strike under the cover of night, dragging victims into the cave, where they were robbed, murdered, and butchered. And they didn't just kill, they consumed. Whatever couldn't be eaten immediately was pickled in brine or salted to preserve it. The smell of death, masked by the stench of the sea, was carried out on the tides. As time went on, the children began having children with each other. Incest was not just tolerated, it was the only option. The family tree became a twisted root system, all branching from the same rotten source. By the end, the Bean clan numbered 46, a ravenous, inbred pack of killers. Over time, locals began to notice a pattern. Travelers simply vanished. Horsemen, merchants, pilgrims, all disappeared without a trace. Inns and roadside dwellers were blamed, some falsely accused and executed. Still, the killings continued. Occasionally, body parts washed ashore, limbs gnawed to the bone, or torsos with the organs removed. Authorities were baffled. Some whispered of devils in the woods. Others spoke of witches or beasts in the hills. But no one suspected that a human family, a tribe of cannibals, was living just miles away, hidden in a cave. The Beans might never have been discovered if not for one mistake. One night, the clan attacked a married couple traveling by horseback. They killed the woman instantly, but the man fought back ferociously. With sword in hand, he held off the attackers long enough for a group of other travelers to appear on the road. The Beans scattered, but the survivor lived to tell the tale, the first living witness to their existence. Word spread quickly. Panic erupted, and the scale of the horror was too great to ignore. King James I himself reportedly led the hunt. Accompanied by 400 soldiers and bloodhounds, he scoured the coastline, leaving no stone unturned. Eventually, the hounds picked up the scent and led them to the mouth of the Benin cave. What they found inside was beyond imagining. Inside the darkness of the cave were piles of bones. Human limbs, skulls, and rib cages, all gnawed and cracked. Hanging from the walls were body parts preserved in salt. Piles of stolen clothes, gold rings, weapons, and travel packs confirmed what investigators feared. These were not the remains of one or two victims, but hundreds. The entire Bean family was captured alive, dragged from the only world they had ever known. They were taken to Edinburgh in chains and imprisoned in the Tolbooth jail. But what followed was no ordinary trial. There was no defense, no plea. The evidence was overwhelming, the horror indisputable. The men were executed by amputation, their hands and feet chopped off, left to bleed to death. The women and children, equally guilty, were burned alive at the stake. Their monstrous legacy was extinguished in a single day. But did it really happen? There are no contemporary records of a Bean clan, no official trial transcripts, no execution reports. The story only begins to appear in cheap London chapbooks over 150 years later, printed for shock value and entertainment. These publications were notorious for sensationalism, filled with tales of witches, murderers, and monsters. Even the involvement of King James I seems suspiciously convenient, a narrative device used to ground the story in historical reality. Many historians now believe the tale of Sawney Bean was invented or heavily embellished to serve as propaganda. Perhaps it was anti-Scottish rhetoric following the Jacobite rebellions. Or maybe it was inspired by earlier stories, like that of Christy Cleek, a 14th century cannibal bandit from the Highlands who reportedly used a metal hook to pull travelers from horseback before killing and eating them. Sawney Bean may be a composite, a fictional figure shaped by fear, folklore, and the public's hunger for the grotesque. And yet, the cave still exists. You can visit it today at Benin Head, a dark, cold tunnel that stretches deep into the cliffside, its entrance swallowed by the tide twice a day. The place has an eerie stillness, a strange silence that seems to hold on to secrets. Local guides still tell the story. Tourists still shiver. And in Edinburgh's darker corners, on ghost tours and in grim museums, the legend of Sawney Bean lives on. Real or not, he has become part of Scotland's haunted heritage, a warning whispered through the centuries about what can happen when humanity strays too far from the light. So, was Sawney Bean Scotland's most prolific serial killer, or just a ghost story, born of superstition and sharpened by time? We may never know for sure, but perhaps that's part of what keeps the legend alive. Because sometimes the scariest stories are the ones we can't quite disprove.